Good morning.
Good afternoon.
Good evening.
Yeah, you had to think about that.
I
right?
did. Welcome to being here.
Yes.
A better me would have not been
Would've-
thrown off by recording in progress.
Right.
Yes. I love it. Today's episode, of course, is a better me. And we all have pre-programmed thoughts about what a better me would be like. And today we're going to investigate that, and the best way for you to have the most out of this particular podcast
Just by listening.
and really just engaging with your ears to hear what's happening.
Rather than think about it, rather than try to understand it, rather than try to get somewhere.
And rather than trying to apply it to you, no application necessary.
If you listen and just allow what's being said to come into you without filtering it through what you already know, your life will transform. It happens that easily.
Now, if you feel like you have to apply it, then behind the scenes is the idea that you need something in order to be a better you. And
But what if? What if you're already perfect? Exactly the way you are. You know, in the middle of the night, there's a song.
In the middle of the
night.
night.
Yes.
We finish each other's sentences, and sometimes we even sing together.
I was up because Ariel and I have just come back from a trip to British Columbia. And whilst there at a fishing lodge, I saw a magnificent structure that somebody built to store their firewood in. And I said, oh, I got to do that. So I came home and I started investigating all the ways one could build a woodshed. Problem is, in my thoughts, I wasn't enough to build a woodshed. Now, I've built houses over the years. And what was interesting was my thoughts were about all the failures around building houses. All the things that I should have, could have done better. And I decided by the time I woke up this morning that I wasn't going to build a woodshed. Then I took a walk through our property here, and I found a remains of a structure that was here when we first moved in. And the flooring was still in pristine shape. So I realized I could use that. And I just got into action, and suddenly I have cleared an area to put the woodshed. It all fell into place easily, effortlessly, but I didn't think about my ability to do it. I just did it. You also have abilities that you haven't even plumbed the depths of, and you think you're not enough, but in actuality, you are perfect the way you are.
And of course you think you're not enough.
Because that's part of the way the mind works.
There's nothing wrong with you thinking that you need to better yourself. It's part of the structure of the mind.
But the mind also works in more, better, and different. So what you got isn't it. And when you get more or better at it, or something different, then it'll be okay until you get that. But then it still wants more, better, and different. So there's no win because you're constantly looking for something else.
So last night, Shia was plagued by the more, better, different section of his brain. And today he let go of all of that and looked and listened. It's really about being here. And I'm clear, we will have and we will build, because I'm helping him with it, an amazing structure. And it will enhance our ability to stack wood and have fires in our fireplace and wood stove and fire pit. We like fire. But
we are fiery.
It's not that our life will be better when we figure out how to do it, or when we see how to do it, or when it's completed. This moment, here, right now, you are enough.
This moment here right now is all there is. The future hasn't gotten here yet, and the past is just a memory trace.
And you may want to get better at something, speaking a language, being present, the ability to calculate something. Those abilities can grow, but it doesn't mean the amount of ability you have right now is substandard. You can still have desires that allow you to learn things, but you will never be better. It's one of those paradoxes. You may get better at something, but there is no better you to be had.
And you'll never be better enough for your mind.
You're either accessing your satisfaction or you're accessing the idea
that you're not enough.
It's an idea.
Yeah,
that you're not enough.
That's ideal.
Shall we take our first?
I think so.
All right. Micah, welcome to being here. And please let everybody know where you're zooming in from.
Hi, I'm Micah and I'm zooming in from Düsseldorf in Germany.
Welcome to being here.
Thank you.
By the way, congratulations on your recent marriage.
Thanks a lot.
And which is perfect. I know that you may have a question for us, but I have a question for you first. I know that you've been in love with Stefan for many years and you were hopeful for many years that you would get married. At some point, he asked you and you planned the wedding and you had a very lovely wedding. And you're clearly, we can see you, even if the people are listening to this, they can't see your face. Clearly, you look lovely. And obviously, you're very happy that you got married. But my question is, does it make you a better you?
I would say no. But what happened was it changed our connection to each other. So it
both can be true. Both are true in my experience.
Felt stronger and more intimate and more I would say as a team or as a partnership than we had before, because before we really were, we were 12 years together, in a lot of cases separate individuals, and now it feels cozier and sweeter.
That's sweet. I'm so happy to hear
It feels
that.
what?
Cozier and sweeter. And so that's one of those paradoxes. Both are true, where you can feel the connection deeper, but that doesn't mean, because there were years you were unhappy that you weren't married, because marriage would be better. And it's interesting because yes, you have this that you always wanted, but I suspect that you're enjoying it, but it doesn't make you better.
No. And also the way it happened, because of Corona, we changed. So we had planned to have 50 people coming to our wedding. And it was for me clear I wanted to have a big wedding. And at the end, we were 6 people, and it was the sweetest way of getting married than we can all remember. So we had time for each of us, and especially my parents, and it was really sweet.
That's great. So, do you have a question for us?
Yes, I have. I really like the topic, and I can feel already today I had several moments where I thought a better me would listen more, and a better me would be more competent to answer questions. So the background is I'm in a new project, and there are so many new topics during the day. Every day is new. And in my perspective of myself, I have all the answers ready, prepared. I have controlled everything. But here in the process, nothing is under control. So every time I have the impression it's like troubleshooting. And I had in the morning a meeting where the people I was in the meeting needed to have answers, but there was no answer. I couldn't give the answer, so I was really hard with myself later on. And
Let me stop you there for a second, because you say later on. I find that interesting. Were you hard on yourself in the meeting or afterwards when you thought you should have done it differently?
both. I was already hard with myself in the meeting. It started there, and I think I pushed it then during the day.
Okay, next question. Does being hard on yourself fix the situation?
Does it help you find the answers?
No, not at all.
Not at all. In fact, it makes it more difficult.
Yes, it was, and especially when you have a lot of meetings during the day and a lot of different contacts. And what I see is I'm working a lot with Zoom at the moment, or with Teams, and so I can feel that I take the energy from this meeting to another meeting and another meeting. So I'm not free, I'm not there, I'm not able to listen when I'm just in my thoughts.
Yes.
Well, as you say that, you are blaming the energy of the meeting for your state, as opposed to you have the idea you should have had the answers to questions you couldn't anticipate, in which once they were asked, you didn't know the answer to, and you're being hard on yourself, you take into the next meeting. That's different than the energy from the meeting bled over into the next one. Let's talk about the 3 principles of instantaneous transformation, Micah, because the first is anything you resist, or you don't like, you don't want, you wish you knew.
That's what you get stuck with.
You get stuck with, and then you drag it into the next meeting.
So you start with self-doubt because somebody asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, and you're embarrassed to say, I don't know the answer to that question.
I'll get back to you.
But I'll find it out and I'll get back to you. Right. And then you beat on yourself going forward throughout the day for not knowing the answer to that question. So you bring less of you to the next meeting.
And I'm certain you've experienced this. If you sign on to a meeting and you're already defended, people are going to come knocking at your door to try to get Micah. And if you're not there, they're going to knock a little harder. So coming defended already, you set up the next group to be aggressive when they weren't to begin with. And then you go to another meeting. It's not the energy of those people
did it to you. It's you're beating on yourself for not knowing an answer, takes you out of the moment. So you're a vacant being. So, they ask you questions, but you're not fully there to hear because you're still lost in that idea that you should have done the first meeting differently. And there's this idea that the second principle of instantaneous transformation, actually, no 2 things can occupy the same Micah at the same time. So if you're busy beating on yourself, you can't really be available to support these other people getting their project completed.
Yeah. And third principle, anything you see without judging completes itself in an instant.
Another way to say that is anything that you leave alone will leave you alone. But if you pick it up and start beating on yourself with it, then it stays, especially if you don't want it.
I suspect that part of the challenge you're experiencing comes from an outdated idea you have about what it means to be a consultant. Because you talked about it a little bit. As a consultant, you've had answers in place and things under control. And you've now stepped into a wider, bigger, unfamiliar project. And if you apply the standards of, as a consultant, you must know the answers, you're setting yourself up for this roller coaster of upset.
The other thing is this is a new opportunity, and it's a much bigger opportunity, and it's things you don't already know. Well, what if you pretend you don't know anything? And if you look, you'll see what the answer is. See, figuring out how to do something, like today, I cut down those old telephone pole size posts with a chainsaw. I didn't know how I was going about doing it until I looked. I saw that I had to dig some rocks out of the way so I wouldn't dull the chainsaw blade. You discover your answer in looking.
It's not something he'd done before, but his skill sets are preset to be able to inform this moment. And if you look at yourself as a consultant.
And you are a skilled consultant and have worked for years in very big firms. It isn't like you're new at this, but you could approach it like you're new at it.
In fact, it will set you up to be more creative than ever.
And more successful, because you can't come in with answers when you don't know what the questions are. And you don't know what the questions are until you look and see what needs to be done, what's needed, what's wanted. And then you provide that, and it all works out beautifully.
Shai and I have been fly fishing for many years, and spey casting is a type of fly fishing with a very long two-handed rod. And we've been doing that for many years as well. And on this last trip, I brought all the skill sets that I had doing that with me, even though it had been 2 years basically since I had done this type of fishing. I'd done a little bit, but nothing like going for a week and doing it every day for 8 or 9 hours a day. And what was most fun for me this time was getting interested in all the things I don't know, rather than trying to prove to myself what I do know. And I learned so much, asking questions and being curious and interested. You don't have to come up with the answers. It's the answers need to be answered.
That's cool. Yeah.
Questions need to be answered. That's what I meant.
Thank you. That's cool.
Like you're talking about all these new things every day as if it was problematic, rather than, oh, wow,
I have the
something
opportunity
new.
Here. Right.
Yeah. I can feel that I do that sometimes because I'm working in a totally new business, in a new role. Yeah,
But my dear, you are capable.
Well, we were speaking to our friend Corrine, who at age 65 went from being an eyeglass manufacturer. She had her own
designer and manufacturer of her own brand of eyeglasses,
which was very successful, bought by the largest eyeglass company in the world. She worked with them for a while. Then she left the company, became an entrepreneur for a while. And all of a sudden she thought, you know what? I would really like to be a real estate agent. So at 65, she started a whole new career. And after 2 years, she is top in the field in her area.
In her office.
It's all new. She didn't expect to know it all, but her abilities transfer. When you keep saying, oh, it's a whole new area,
You say it like it's a problem rather than that is the opportunity for your brilliance to shine.
It's a little bit like you went from an upright piano to a
grand.
Steinway, and you're a brilliant pianist. It's like, oh, this is a whole new piano. No, it's a whole new instrument to play your expertise upon.
Cool. Yeah.
And one other thing, just this is my impression. I don't really know everything that you do, but I do not believe that that company hired you to have the answers. They hired you to help shepherd their teams to be a team and to have the projects go to completion as smoothly and as creatively as possible. That doesn't mean you have to have all the answers.
This is so true. They hired me to bring the people and the team together, and together we create something new. That's exactly true.
Well, in order to together create something new, you may as well find your delight in the newness as opposed to invest in your fear of the unknown.
So good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah. I missed you and I miss transformation.
Well, welcome back. And, you know,
it only takes an instant, you know, and you're back.
As you say that, I know that usually we reserve this for the next section, but we definitely have seminars upcoming. I know the Monday nights are brilliant and the Saturdays and the occasional Tuesday evenings, but weekend seminars are really a deep dive into the magic of being you. And we have Discover the Healer in You coming up the 6th and 7th of November. And the Power of Listening, December 11th and 12th. That's happening as a bilingual one. It has the German component to it as well. So you're invited.
Very cool.
Thanks for being with us today.
Yes, thank you.
Now it's your turn. Let's hear what one of you listeners has to say about being here in the transformation community.
I'm Christian from Munich. With transformation, I discovered that I don't have to rehearse and do it over to get better. For example, I just been back to swimming, which is my favorite sport. I had 2 weeks of break because of my work schedule. And when I was back in the water, I was like, wow, I can swim. I'm so good at it. My memory was much worse. And it was so fun to see.
Do you want to have well-being with consistency? Connect with people all over the world from the comfort of your own home at Ariel and Shire's lively interactive Living Made Easy virtual seminars. Join any of their 2-hour online events or take a deep dive into the magic of being you at a virtual weekend seminar. Come on, let's connect. Find out more and register at transformationmadeeasy.com.
The next Living Made Easy seminar will be in a little over a week and a half, Saturday, the 23rd, and then on Monday, the 25th. Also, we'd like to have a shout out.
Yes.
For
all the people who have already registered and are joining us in Costa Rica in 2022.
We have 2 courses in January, the 15th through the 22nd, and the 22nd through the 29th, and a number of people are joining us for both. Of course, you're invited, but right now, congrats and shout out to those people who looked in their hearts and saw it's what they want and had the courage to pull the trigger, even with all the unknowns right now. And we'll have it happen. It's going to happen. It should be wonderful. All right. shall we? And by the way, if you'd like to join us, you are welcome. Prerequisite, there are two of them. One is that
You are fully inoculated for the COVID virus.
And we'll be doing other testing as people arrive, but also to attend a weekend seminar with us sometime before the course. Let's
Take our next caller.
Yes, Rita. Oops, my screen went funny. There she is. Where are you zooming in from?
I'm calling in from Bern, Switzerland.
Welcome.
Great.
Thank you. It's a topic today that I think it's good to know that I don't have to be over it, that the thought a better me would do this to another way. And
yeah, most of us think that when we transform, we will get over having thoughts like, should be a better me, would get up earlier, exercise more.
Well, a better me, those thoughts are mechanical. The mind is a machine that generates thoughts randomly and specifically when it's stimulated by some circumstance. So something happens in your environment and then you have thoughts about it, or you have thoughts about things like it. You have thoughts that take you away from where you are to what you should have, could have done in the past or should do in the future. So that's the way the mind works. Luckily, you're not your mind.
Yeah.
You are the being. You are the one who listens to that, not the one who says it.
And you know, the funny thing, Rita, the same conversation generator, this is a better me would, and then, you know, it fills in the blank, is the same conversation generator that says, you know, I really should be over that by now.
Yeah, it's true. So I have a question, or my father turns 91 today.
Congratulations.
Happy birthday.
Good genetics.
Yeah, he is in an elderly home since January, and he's really sick, and sometimes I'm ashamed because sometimes when I visit him and he has open wounds on his legs and it smells so disgusting, and I have really a hard time to be there and to be with him because it's so it's so disgusting sometimes. And then
Yes.
I think a better me would.
A better me wouldn't be disgusted by this disgusting smell.
Yeah, because it's my father, and to see how day by day he dies slowly, and sometimes I think, so you can die. I would be ready, but he is not ready, probably.
Yes. And if you're like many people, the idea that you think, oh, you can die now, then there's the better me shouldn't think that it's my dad.
Yes, that's true. Yeah.
Well, that you are repulsed by the smell from sores has nothing to do with your love for your dad. Nothing. It's like, by the way, I know this is kind of a weird turn of subject, but there was a hurricane that came through here while Shai and I were away, and water filled in our basement, and didn't totally fill, but enough to have our refrigerator die. And by the time we got home, there was lots of stinky food in the refrigerator, in the freezer, and like a package of frozen spinach had disintegrated down and slimed in the back. I didn't see it right away. And so by the time I got there, it was very stinky. And I've discovered that COVID masks are just an amazing tool, that you can put on a mask
and it cuts out a lot of the smell.
And you can go and see your dad and let him know that you're being careful to take care of him. And at the same time, you can protect yourself. I was so impressed how much of the smell did not get through a really strong mask, just as an idea.
Thanks. Yeah, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, you're not a bad person or some way deficient because you find a bad smell offensive. The other thing is this: it's a very difficult time for you. If your dad is getting close to death, it's an upsetting time in the first place.
And bed sores and that type of thing. I know that when Shai's father died, he actually got gangrene and one leg got very bad. And when I lifted the sheet and I looked, I made sure that Shai didn't see it, because I didn't think he needed to have that as an image. And it's actually very brave of you to be there during this process that is clearly so challenging. Is your dad lucid?
Yes, most of the time. Yeah, he cannot speak clearly sometimes, and he lost a few words, and then it's sometimes difficult to understand what he wants to tell me, and other times he can speak clearer. Yeah, and he has also a lot of medicine against but yes, also against that he has not so strong
Pain?
Sorry?
What is the medicine trying to keep him out of pain?
Yeah.
Mm.
And
one other thing, we are not a big proponent of giving tips, but I recall from lots of books I've read and television shows that detective shows, that when they go into places with bad smells like the morgue, they often put mentholated stuff underneath their nose.
Okay.
You never know that, and you could always
I don't know if they have Vicks vapor rub in Switzerland.
Yeah.
But the stuff that you put on your chest when you have a congestion, you put a little bit of that on your nose and it.
Or Tiger Balm or something.
Yeah.
I love Tiger Balm. So, it might make your nose a little, but you can always put it on the inside of that mask you're going to wear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So thank you.
It's really nice to see you. You look so really nice. Good. I love these Zoom videos that we have, the technology to see each other, you in Switzerland and us here in New Jersey.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things I appreciate about this conversation you're having about your challenge with the smell of your dad's sores, for instance. First of all, it's so human. And secondly, I can see where other people may go through that at some point. But on a bigger picture, if we're not looking at the content, meaning you have a smell you don't like, we can all see that when we judge ourselves for our reaction to something, which is what Shai was saying, stimulus response, it's more challenging to find our way through it or a solution than when we notice like, ooh, that's really hard for me. And then you find other possibilities.
Yeah.
And when you're upset, it's tougher.
And it's upsetting to see your father incapacitated.
Yeah. So thank you.
You're welcome.
So thank you.
Really, really, really a treat to be with you today.
Yes, Rita.
If you would like to be on Being Here with us, you can go to our website, transformationmadeeasy.com/being here, and find out how. Or if you'd like to leave a listener spotlight, like what you heard in the middle of the show, you can do that as well. And if you enjoyed the podcast, leave a review on your favorite podcast app. It
Or
might
tell
help.
a friend.
Tell a friend. People deserve
Have life be easy rather than difficult.
Our next week's episode is Your Healing Presence. And I hope Rita tunes in because I have a feeling.
I'm sure that Rita is a healing presence for her father.
And healing presence does not mean that
Doing
he
something.
won't pass away when he does. But in the meantime, there's the possibility of fostering well-being, even though his body is very, very ill. We'll be back next week.
So come on back.
Don't miss being here.